Alright, I won't.
Testing the water.
I want to test the tape out on your VCR. Is it too bright? That looks pretty good, actually. Okay, state your name and your occupation. Normally, and then a little louder.
My name is T-Bonnie Blue, little rock and roll star.
I say it like kind of loud, as if you're talking to
My
like...
name's T-Bonnie Blue. I'm a rock and roll star.
It's the same. Right. Say your name again.
T-Bonnie Blue, rock star.
Yeah. Say about rock and roll. Is it?
You don't hear the water draining out to you. I think I got it right now.
No. I'm gonna sit over here on the toilet. Okay. You in a Gabby mood?
I think, yeah, let's see.
I'm not even going to see it.
Are you starting now?
Yeah, it's recording. I guess you can talk about. And not, I'm not gonna use everything you say, so you don't have to be on all the time. It would help.
Alright.
Is this Mr. Bubbles?
That's Paul Olive.
Oh, this.
Oh, yeah. That's the man.
That's cool. The squeak.
Oh, Jesus. Frankenstein. Man, finally had a nickel for every time I had to dig this motherfucker out of my ass. Rich man. Very rich man.
So,
What was the question?
also my voice is probably isn't gonna be on the thing.
Okay, would you talk over the part that I'm trying to do?
Okay, let me see. Okay, I guess,
Oh, my cigarette's gone.
how did the Thundergods start?
You know, cigarette.
I'm not gonna light it.
Huh?
Can't light it. I'll be smoking.
Set it on fire.
Okay. Oh, you're not really smoking them?
I just need one that doesn't burn. Can you set it on fire? Or put it in my mouth and
Yeah.
light it?
Just talk about how the Thundergods started, like when I'd asked you questions, like what you were thinking. Think about it. Okay. Now, what you were thinking when you first started the band, Fugitives and all that, and then Jimmy and the Supercharger and all that crap.
Yeah. I guess,
Like what made you want to start the Thundergods? When was it?
it's probably, late 80s, very early 90s. Me and Jimmy used to see the Fugitives playing, and I remember one time in particular seeing them playing at Friends and Players.
Right.
And of course, Friends and Players is just the absolute worst dump in the world. But to me, it was just the coolest thing ever. You know, they're underneath this one bare sort of yellow light bulb. And, you know, just playing great rock and roll songs. About 3 people there, including me and Jimmy and the band. And it was just great. Just a rock and roll moment. And I remember thinking to myself, man, there's one thing I want to do in my life. I just want to play in a band, and I want to play at Friends and Players underneath that little bare light bulb on that crappy ass stage.
Was the light red?
I don't know. It was yellow, red, some sort of, you disturbing color. It wasn't like light bulb color.
You couldn't see the band.
Yeah, I could see the band. Oh yeah. But anyway, so that was kind of a defining moment for me. It's pretty much what got me going on the idea of being in a band. And I owned a guitar, but I never really learned how to play it. I could play little bits and pieces of a bunch of different songs. Never got much further than that though. And it wasn't until 94, 95 whenever we started the band.
You started playing this early '94.
Alright.
So you think it was like late '93?
No, it was probably early 94 because we started playing like a month after I decided to have the band. And everybody was shocked that I booked a gig for us because we didn't know any songs or anything yet. But anyways, me and Jimmy were sitting around, we were listening to the Supercharger album. Supercharger Goes Way Out. I remember thinking to myself, I can play these songs. I sat down one day and I just played along with the record, and there was no problem. No problem at all. I was able to play those songs, and they're great rock and roll songs, just very simple, not much to them. And I remember thinking, that's it, and then all these years listening to punk rock, I never got the idea, you don't have to know how to play to be in a band. But that's when it struck me, I'd had this guitar sitting around in my room for 5 years. I was afraid to pick it up, because every time I picked it up, I didn't know any songs. And
That sort of sucks.
yeah, and so then I started playing along this record. I was like, I'm having a band. I say, Jimmy, you want to be in a band? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, here we go. And we grabbed first Chris Durso from Mueller, because we knew him, and they were practicing in a cellar somewhere, and I knew they had a drum set, and I was like, hey, we need a drummer. He said, I'll do it. And he was just messing around. He didn't think anything was going to come of it.
He wasn't a drummer, was he?
No, he wasn't a drummer. He was a guitar player. He really couldn't play drums. I mean, but then none of us could do anything. I couldn't sing. I tried to get Jimmy to sing at first. I wanted him to be the singer. But he said absolutely no chance. And I said, well, try bass then. It's pretty simple. And he's like, yeah, it sounds better for me. And so then we went down to the cellar. I ended up writing like 2 or 3 songs.
Which one?
Don't Piss Me Off, I think it's the first one I ever wrote.
What was that about?
It was about just stupid shit about, I was always a very impatient person. Didn't like it when anybody was in front of me in line for anything. I didn't like it when there were other cars on the road. I didn't like much of anything, everything was just pissed me off all the time. So that was pretty much it. It's like
That was the call to arms.
that was the message of the Thundergods at first was world, go away.
Make room.
Make room, which is to say disappear completely. So that I don't ever have to, walk around anything. I can just live in a straight line, constantly moving forward. Because, my philosophy is, hey, I get in a car. I don't get in a car so I can sit in place. I get in a car because I want to go somewhere. So while I'm in the car, I should be going somewhere. People get in my way, the lights would turn red. It's like, okay, I got in the car so I could sit at this fucking corner. How much sense does that make? Anyway, so that's what the philosophy behind the whole Thundergods movement was at first.
How dare anybody turn left?
How dare there be rules? How dare there be anything that impedes me from doing exactly what I want to do at any given moment? So that's what Don't Piss Me Off is all about. It's like, stop existing.
What were some of the other
Everything.
songs that you started? First bands, like your first show?
There was girl songs.
Love songs?
Well, I guess you could call them that. Mainly just like, you are a girl. Here's what I think of you. Don't piss me off, except you're a girl. I don't know, the whole thing it was pretty confused. Basically, all my songs were Don't Piss Me Off. It was just sometimes I was singing to the girl, sometimes I was singing to everything that exists.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? That's another one of the early ones I did. What's wrong with you? because obviously there's nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with you?
So you played a first show, Kristen. Was that like?
Chris never made it to our first show.
Oh, he just rehearsed.
When he found out that I booked a gig, he jumped ship forthwith. Because all we had done at that point was we got together twice, and I screamed until I couldn't speak anymore, so my voice was just completely shot. And you know, neither myself nor Jimmy could really remember the notes to the songs, even though there was only 3. And I wrote the songs. I couldn't remember any lyrics. That's how the whole thing started with singing unintelligibly, is because I could write lyrics till I was blue in the dick, and I'd never remember one of them, ever, ever.
Just the chorus.
I could have them on paper in front of me, and I'd suddenly not be able to read English. It was bad. So I just started marble mouthing. You know, I just make any kind of a noise, and then at the end of each verse, you know, if you want to call it that, at the end of each verse, I'd make sure I was making a noise that rhymed with the noise I made at the end of the last one. That was my songwriting philosophy for a long time.
How'd you get the? Was it Sean?
Yeah, what happened was Chris bailed out. I'd already booked a gig at Friends of Players, my dream gig, the ultimate dream gig.
When was the show?
It was in February of '94, I guess. Yeah, '94, February '94. We played at Friends of Players, and we got the gig basically because Kaz, who was running Friends of Players, didn't give a shit who played there. He was just into letting people have a shot at playing, you know, because he was just a cool guy.
Yeah.
And he had no idea what was going to happen when we got out there. And anyway, so Chris didn't show up for that show, and we asked Sean Leahy, who really could kind of play drums, to be drummer for that show, and he did it. But he was drunk off his ass. He kept falling off the stool. At the end of the night, I remember he fell over the top of his drums during the last song, and he had a toilet seat around his neck. The toilet seat from that dirty, and it's just fucking filthy bathroom in Friends of Players. He had the toilet seat around his neck, and that was pretty gross.
Do you think his being inebriated kind of helped the entertainment, the performance, the chaos,
I guess, yeah. I think everybody who
philosophy.
went there that night was expecting us to just be really bad. I don't think they were expecting us to be quite as bad as we were. And yeah, it was just like a joke to everyone but me and Jimmy.
But it helped people like want to go see it again because it was so entertaining.
Yeah, definitely.
I gotta ask you this though. Actually, I never really asked you this.
People were entertained.
Do you think, or no, what was, or was, the idea of the band? Was it like everything you ever read about rock and roll? Like it was always the loudest, fastest, like hardest play like at your last show ever. Did you actually, all the adjectives that describe rock and roll you've ever read, did you ever actually try to apply them at first? Was that actually like the way to perform?
No, there was. I didn't really
Or were you just
have
playing?
any idea of how to perform. All I can remember was just wanting to be in everybody's face. I figured aggression was the best policy, since we had no actual talent of any kind. You know, if we just went up there and balls it out, we'd probably do okay. And you know, I always liked songs, music that was fast and hard and aggressive and sort of mean-spirited almost, you know. And I guess I attempted to do that, and what ended up coming off was just fast and loud, and to a lot of people kind of funny, you know, kind of ironic, because neither of us looked very mean at all. But
Yeah.
you know, the music itself was just.
You look kind of like nerds.
Yeah, that's what I
Never, like,
heard. You know, it never
from
really
town
occurred to
or
me
something.
that I was a nerd, but that's what people told me later on. Saw us taking the stage. You know, this is when people from the actual, you know, bands and the music scene, or whatever you want to call it, started seeing us, they see us go up on stage like, Jesus Christ, what are these guys gonna do? And then we start bashing it out, and I guess it was a pleasant surprise.
You need some more bubbles?
I don't know, do you think?
Right. Check this. Yeah. This is gonna be way better than it seems right now. No, because you can't really, you can't really see, okay, for the next couple of questions, I'm gonna zoom in a bit. From here up right now, you need another one?
Yeah.
You're not living now. Alright. Gig. How many gigs did Sean play? That was it, the first gig. How'd you get Mark?
Sean played one gig. He fell over the drum set. That was the end of it for him. We, I don't even remember how we ended up getting Mark to play.
You worked with Jimmy? He was in Race Car Bob.
Yeah, he was in Race Car Bob. We knew Bob, and we knew Mark's brother, I think, who was also in Race Car Bob. So we just asked him, and he's a good-natured guy. He's like, yeah, he had seen us. He figured it would be fun because with Race Car Bob, he was, he had to pay attention to what he was doing. He couldn't just play fast and just pound them like he wanted to. He was originally in a heavy metal cover band, and that was kind of stuff he really dug, is where he could really just go off.
You guys had Iron Maiden in common?
Yeah, I like Iron Maiden. We used to, it would kind of bug Jimmy that I'd try to get Mark to play Run to the Hills. Because I always liked that a lot. And I tried to learn it on guitar, but of course I couldn't play it. Yeah, I couldn't play really much anything. We do covers. We did a lot of like Stones covers at first, and nobody, we wouldn't even recognize them.
Like what songs?
We did Where the Boys Go,
Yeah.
off of Emotional Rescue, I think it was on. Where the Boys Go, Saturday night, where the boys go. Of course, when we played it, God knows what it was.
It sounded much like that Drain that we heard.
Yeah, it sounded like What Boys? What the fuck is that song? I don't know what it sounded like.
How'd you ask Mark? What was the deal with that? Getting in the band?
We just,
Was he ever in the band?
yeah, for I think about a year he played with us, and it was always just like, one more gig, Mark, okay, one more gig. It's like, okay, one more. And, one more led to like 20 more. And eventually, yeah, he was a Thundergod. No doubt.
How soon after did you get your first recordings?
Fuck. We did our,
At GFI.
yeah, that's right. It was less than a year. I know our first actual release single came out like a year to the day after we first played, after our first gig. So the stuff we did at GFI was probably less than 6 months after we started.
What songs were they?
Basically, we were still trying to learn how to play guitar.
Bloodsucker.
We did Bloodsucker.
What's that about?
It's a vampire song. It's about the young man's reaction when he first realizes that his girlfriend is actually a vampire,
The undead.
living dead. Yeah, the undead. And what was the other one we did?
Screw to the Wall. That with Mark.
We just,
All I Got Is Nothing.
there was nothing. Yeah, I don't know what ended up doing. What ended up being on the record. I think all I Got Is Nothing was the first song that I wrote that I actually liked.
Right. See your shows.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. It's great.
So,
Yeah, this part's not even on it. All I Got Is Nothing, you still do.
yeah, still do All I Got Is Nothing. That's still one of my favorites. It just worked,
Cheryl Laurel liked that song too, didn't she?
Marquette's wife? Yeah. Yeah, she liked that song a lot, but she couldn't tell which one it was.
I'm not gonna put that in. So you're recorded, so how'd you feel? What did it feel like? You finally like...
It didn't feel like nothing, you know, it was all just another fucking hunk of dung on the heat, you know? Didn't feel like nothing.
You got involved with Trash Can too, huh?
Yeah, Trash Can we got involved with because, you know, it's just me and Jimmy basically trying to have this band. We didn't really know anybody who was really into rock and roll. I mean, we knew what bands were cool, but we didn't know them. And I remember Jimmy saying to me one day, you know, there's this sort of kind of label kicking around, and Duke Galaxy and the Pipeliners are on it, and the Shot Glass Squares, and he said, out of anybody around here, I mean, that might be a place where we could actually fit in, you know, might be something we would want to align ourselves with. And I said, yeah, you know, I don't care about anything, you know, just sign me up, you know, go talk to him, and we'll see what happens. And he took care of that. He went and talked to Duke Galaxy, and
Got on the comp first.
Yeah,
No, the record came out first, actually.
well, we recorded for the compilation, the Trash Can compilation's first recording we did. That's when we did Bloodsucker. Yeah, they came to see us. Our next show after Jimmy talked to them, they came to see us. So I remember we had a rhino on the poster, and that really turned Duke on. That was like our second show, I think.
I remember he couldn't stop talking about the Thundergods because I was at the show or we opened or something enough.
Yeah.
You handed out comic books.
Yeah, I had written up some comic books, you know, just the story of the Thundergods, and I had written them with Sean being one of the characters, but of course he was out of the band by that point. So, but nobody knew.
Was he the guy
Nobody knew what the hell it was all about, and none of it made any sense, so it didn't really matter who was in it. And it was just a comic book of us beating some guys up, going out with hot girls. And,
So
playing a
pretty
big
much-
rock and roll show, and everybody going crazy.
And stopping trucks with your hands.
Yeah, well, that was something different. Yeah, there's a lot of comics going around, you know, a lot of Thundergods comic action.
Actually, wait, go back. What is Here Are the Thundergods? Here Come the Thundergods. That was your first record.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No.
This is your first release. What was it?
I thought we recorded for the compilation first.
No, you recorded in Mark's basement, it said.
Yeah, I can't remember what came first, to be honest with you. I know we made that tape, Here Come the Thundergods, in Mark's basement. Just, you know, I had a,
First batch of songs.
yeah, I guess. I swear to God that we recorded that after we recorded the other stuff, but I don't know. I can't remember.
No, real quick, what's the deal with the song Anything I Want? What's that about?
Oh, it's another thing about a girl, and it's just about the perfect girl who'll do anything I want, you know. And again, the lyrics kind of came and went. There was a few lyrics here, a few lyrics there. You know, just as long as the last noise in the verse rhymed with the other ones, then you know, it's good lyrics.
Okay, what's the names of the guys in the band?
Well, we decided, you know, at that point it seemed like the thing to do, you know, like the Ramones, have, you know, incorporate the name of the band into everybody's name. And, well, Jimmy decided to be Thunderclap Jimmy, because, you know, it just sounded big and ballsy, you know, Thunderclap, but, you know, really all it ended up being, everybody made fun of him, saying that it was like a venereal disease, which isn't too, I guess it's pretty rock and roll, but in the wrong kind of way. I made up a name for Mark. It was like Thunder Baby.
Super Fat Thunder Baby.
Yeah, and everybody made fun of that because they're like, oh, super fat, you want to be a rapper or something, but it's not fat like that. It was like I had a picture of an actual giant fat infant. The super fat Thunder Baby. I had seen a painting in an art show a few years ago, this giant purple fat baby face, and the baby was just wailing, and I never forgot that. So I guess that's for some reason that came to me, and I thought, okay, look at this super fat thunder baby. And it kind of backfired too. Thunder Bunny Blue. I kind of like the name Bunny. It's a guy from Bob Marley and the Wailers. His name was Bunny Wailer. I thought that was probably the coolest name ever, Bunny Wailer.
Bunny Carlos.
Yeah, Bunny Carlos, that was pretty cool too. But mainly I was thinking this guy Bunny Wailer, and so Thunder Bunny, and then I guess Blue just seemed like it kind of flowed. That's where that came from.
Okay, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's pretty provocative, I guess.
It's Jimmy that question. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see, you recorded, what else was there? I don't know, I guess first record. Trash Can. You hooked up a Trash Can, you're gonna put a single out. You're gonna put a single out.
Yeah. Yeah, so we ended up recording Who Cares, and You Better Learn to Like It.
Of the mid-90s, the hit. So Who Cares? Tell me all about Who Cares.
Wait a minute.
No.
Yeah, Who Cares? That was our first single that we put out, and someone told us that this guy Arpad would probably be, up our alley. He'd be the guy to go to get the sound that we were going for, and which we weren't really going for any kind of a sound. I don't know, just whatever came out came out. But I had this sort of Charvel knockoff heavy metal guitar with about 8 or 9 points on it. Just like the Satan guitar. It was in a crackle purple, red, and blue finish, pretty sweet. And it would screech constantly. That was, all our shows were about 3/4 feedback, and I'd be talking to the crowd, trying to get them going, riling them up and stuff, and all they'd be hearing is this thing would never stop feeding back, and I had the absolute worst solid state amp money could buy. I went into a music store and said, "Hey, you got any amps?" He said, "Yeah, I got this one." I said, "Sold and sold." Picked that one up, and it never worked properly. I always sounded like absolute piss.
Where's the nearest amp store? Here it is.
Yeah, it was this store where they sold amps. Some other shit too. I think they had some Carlos Santana sheet music. Some multicolored straps. Things of that nature. At any rate, Who Cares? Yeah, so we went to Arpad's and recorded that one. That was a song that I had come up with, listening to the Kinks. That song that the Grinders cover. I don't even know what the title is. Girl Like You is very hard to find. I was playing that and I liked the chord progression. I was like, well, I should lift that and kind of make that into something else. So that's how Who Cares? It really doesn't sound like it at all, but that's where it came from.
Lyrically?
Lyrically, Who Cares was kind of a shot at myself, I guess. It was the first time that I ever wrote a song that was anything besides, fuck you, where's my girl? Fuck you, where's my girlfriend? Get out of my way, I need a girlfriend kind of thing. And it was kind of picking on myself, because I was always very narcissistic and always worried about how I looked and other people perceived me, and so it's basically, who cares? Nobody's looking at you. Nobody cares what you're doing.
Why'd you pick that as the single, as the A-side? Just so it rocked?
Yeah, I always thought that it was a pretty good song. I liked the way it went. We seemed to know it pretty well. It's the one song of ours that we could remember usually. And so I picked that, and plus I know, I just liked, I felt like that was a decent song. So we did that one at Arpheads, and I remember when it came out, everybody was kind of surprised because, you know, it actually, we made it through the end of the song, which was something that didn't happen too often. It almost never happened when we played live. I mean, we'd have to stop halfway through almost every song. You know, I'd be looking at Jimmy, he'd be looking at me, and we'd be like trying to hash out where to go next. And, you know, meanwhile, the guitars are screeching and people are throwing shit at us. And, you know, it's kind of disconcerting. I'd be totally, I wouldn't be scared, I'd just be so confused, you know. I'd look at Jimmy, I'd be like, does it go here next, you know? And he wouldn't remember, of course, because I wrote the songs. He'd be trying to follow me, and I had no idea where I was going.
Why'd you write them all in between the dots on the guitar?
Oh yeah, it's another thing that people always kind of ask me about. It never occurred to me that you should, you know, be on the dots when you wrote a song on guitar. You know, I just figured, well, I could pick any fret, you know. And then people were like, well, it's kind of hard to play along with that because you're playing on sharps and flats and things like that. And I was like, what? What's that? You know, just play it. And because to me, you know, if you're trying to solo over top of a song, I didn't know that there were patterns you could follow. I was just like, well, you got to hash out what notes you want to play, and you know, that's just part of being a guitarist. You know, you gotta work on it. And here's all these guys who want everything all easy, always got to go in order. You know, never occurred to me. So that's why I wrote all the songs in between the dots, not for any real reason, just because I didn't know you couldn't.
Not for some unwitting genius.
No, it's nothing to do with genius. It was just, again, it was a lot of confusion. A lot of, you know.
I think a lot of that is what the quitters, Dave and Dan especially, being experienced, talented, whatever, your naivety, what's the word?
Naivete?
Whatever, yeah, and just not knowing, but just doing it anyway. It was so charming to them. And I'm pretty sure that's what they were like, man, this band is so great.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of our appeal to a lot of people. It's just that it's obvious these guys have no clue what they're doing, but they're up there and they're doing it aggressively, as though everybody should be impressed with them.
With a sense of humor.
You know, yeah, you know, there's a sense of humor, but there was always, at least for me, there was always, and I think Jimmy too, he took it fairly seriously. You know, he wanted to do a good job, be a good band.
Yeah.
And to me, I was just like, I knew we were great from the get-go. You know, that was, I just always thought we were the best band around. And that's why we'd always schedule these gigs. You know, we'd set up the gig. You know, we didn't know anybody. We'd call these places to set up a gig, and usually it was at Friends of Players, so it wasn't that hard. It's not like we were wheeler dealers or anything. I'd call up and set up a gig, and have all these other bands come play with us, like, you know, people like the Salamanders or something. You know, we'd somehow talk them into playing with us, and we'd make them play first because, you know, we're the Thundergods. You know, this is our show. We're the stars. And you know, a lot of people found that, I guess, charming or funny, but to me, it seemed logical. You know, that we want to be stars. We are stars.
Yeah.
And the music, I took it seriously, and I always thought we were great. And when people said that they didn't think we were good, it kind of struck me funny. I was like, well, of course we're good. I mean, look at us. I mean, look past the point. Look past the fact that we can't play and we can't remember our own songs, and that we're always fucking up and it never sounds like anything, and that there's all this feedback and all this general chaos, and just, I mean, you know, just see how great we are.
See what I see.
Yeah.
Inside my head.
And yeah, that's another philosophy that tends to turn up and confuse people a lot. You know, the members of the band is just, you know, I've got an idea in my head, and I can't see where people don't understand it automatically, almost, you know, like intrinsically. This is where I want to go. Don't you understand? And of course we're like, no, we don't understand. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It sounds stupid. We don't understand.
You still have that.
Oh, very definitely. You know, even, well, basically, the Thundergods still have almost all the problems we started out with. None of them have really gone away. I mean, some of them have receded a little bit, but they always, even the ones, the most simple things, always seem to keep cropping up, Something you'll think, some problem with the band that you thought was dead 3 years ago jumps back up and bites you in the ass,
Tuning.
And, breaking strings, everything, yeah. So I used to, for the first 2 or 3 years of the band, I would break at least 2 strings every show. And that was another thing that was always kind of a pain in the ass. And I'd end up playing with like 4 strings, and I had no idea how to compensate. So I'd still be playing as though I had these strings, and they just wouldn't be there. So a chord that required, at least 3 or 4 strings would have 1. And
That's hilarious.
yeah, I guess it's kind of funny to some people.
Let's see, do you want more tavern or water?
Can you light another cigarette for me?
It's right here.
They're going really fast. It's out.
Alright. Where's the Thundergods? Oh, no, okay, rough marks of the band, you got a record out. When was it, may I ask you? The record release party for that record. Okay. Is there anything special? Or was there anything special about the early shows that you remember? Any one particular with Mark? He's the back about a year. Derek
Yeah.
played the record release party, dude.
He may have, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah,
So
we had a few real good gigs with Mark. Mark was pretty much what held the band together. I mean, if he hadn't consented to keep playing with us all that time,
why did he quit?
Well, he didn't really quit. We eventually just gave him leave to get the fuck out. I mean, he was waiting. I mean, he liked doing it, but it was understood that he wasn't going to keep doing it forever. And so we kept, borrowing and stealing his services. And eventually we just figured, well, we better find somebody else because he's going to quit eventually because he's got so many other things to do, and we're probably not going to take him anywhere he wants to go. So we ended up, we were friends with Duke by that point, and we talked to him, and he mentioned at one point
That he was in Space Food.
that he knew how to play drums. He played drums in this band Space Food, and of course we had no idea what that was, so we were convinced that he really could play drums. And so we asked him to play drums. He was pretty excited about it. It's like a new project for him. He always likes, new projects, new idea. So he was up for it. And we said, okay, great. We got a solid member of the band, somebody who actually wants to be in the band, not just, kind of be a helper or a pal helping us out. You know what I mean? And so then we started practicing with him. Things got real ragged. Like I said, Mark was definitely an anchor. He's a great drummer. He could play hard and fast and always right on time.
He knew what the changes are and stuff.
Yeah, and I could depend on him to remember the songs, which was cool.
But Duke.
Because most of the time I was more worried about, putting out an image on stage, and
Right.
being entertaining. And the songs were secondary, not because I thought they were unimportant, but just because there's nothing I could do about it. If the songs got fucked up, there's no way. If the songs worked out, it was always like a bonus. We were there to put on a show, and if the music was actually intelligible, if you could actually tell that a song was going on, and man, oh man, we were like the Rolling Stones or something, or freaking Aerosmith.
Derek, Duke, excuse me. I think Duke saw you guys and saw the punk rock and saw the aggressiveness and the lunacy and thought, it doesn't have to get any better, it's supposed to be. All you gotta do is shit ahead.
Yeah, well, at that point, Derek, I think, was still, at that point, Duke, I think, was still, his vision of punk rock was sort of a, I don't know if that stuff's called hardcore, but the Southern California, early 80s kind of punk rock, which, is cool and everything, but it was never really my bag. I had more of a rock and roll punk rock thing, like Ramones, Dolls, yeah, Dictators, things of that nature. And I don't think he'd listen. Yeah, of course he liked the Ramones, but the other stuff I don't think he'd really listen to. He was more into like Black Flag. That's his big band.
I think he actually learned a lot about rock and roll from the Thundergods hanging around you guys. I know I did.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna act like he was some child that needed to be taught or anything, but he, his interests had gone in a different direction at that point. We kept, hounding him to go more towards, like a traditional rock and roll feel as opposed to just like a punk rock, drum beat. You know what I mean? I wanted more like swinging drum beat, make it sound rockin'. And yeah, of course, I loved old rock and roll, and Jimmy just had this enormous collection of great old rock and roll, and so we'd all hang around together and listen to records and talk about music, and eventually Duke just sort of saw where we were going. You know what I mean? We didn't want to be Black Flag. We wanted to be, a rock and roll band.
Well, this time you did another recording session with Duke at our band.
Yeah, we recorded our second single with Duke at our pass. And I think that was like a year after the first single came out, we did that. And that was Soul Crusher, which is another song that's, I guess, turned out to be a favorite with a lot of people.
It seems to be the She Loves You of the Thundergods.
Yeah, I guess that's our I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Yeah, Soul Crusher. It's a song that everybody seems to react to.
I Want to Crush Your Soul.
It's another song about a girl. This time it's a girl who gets the better of old T-Bunny.
Is there any girl in particular?
Nope. No, none of these were really directed at anybody in particular, except sometimes they were directed at myself, because that was pretty much the most important person in my life at that point was me. A lot of songs were about me, otherwise songs were all about just some nameless faceless girl, or just like these big go to hell type punk rock and roll type songs.
So Soul Crusher, what was the recording session that like? Did you ever play it with Mark? Probably once or twice. I think you might have rehearsed it because I remember him asking me, "Do you guys still do that song?"
Yeah, he always took Soul Crusher too. And it was a big crash bang song, and like that. So yeah, I guess we had played it with Mark. We decided that was another strong song. People seemed to like it. We liked playing it, so we decided to record that. And Duke played that song really well. That was probably his strongest song.
How did Dave Steyer get involved in that?
Oh, well, I guess the way things are with Thundergods, the way I hear it in my head sounds like just magnificent. It sounds like this ultimate rock and roll anthem that everybody's going to be singing for the rest of their lives, And that's just the way I hear them all. And then, what comes out live is generally something very, very different. And what comes out on tape is a lot of times not quite what had been intended. But anyway, Soul Crusher turned out pretty good. And the way I heard it in my head, I heard a harmonica in there too.
Did it come out the way you thought?
Yeah, it came out. Yeah, it came out almost exactly the way I wanted it to come out. And we got some guff from at least one reviewer, about using harmonica in a punk rock song. But it was another one of these West Coast punk rock guys who thought that the world began and ended with the fucking dead Kennedys, didn't realize that there was punk rock before then. Harmonica, oh, they must be some 60s bands, you know, they're stale, that's old, man, 60s are dead, hippies, you know, it's like, it made no sense. But it was kind of a bummer because who cares? It got a lot of good reviews, you know, it actually garnered a little bit of publicity as far as, you know,
Yeah.
our level of musical recognition was, which, you know, we got picked up, they were carrying it in the Astor's catalog, and Get Hit carried it, and we were getting letters from Japan and France and all different countries where people had gotten a single and really liked it. And it was like, wow, we're on our way. We're huge stars, you know. We're going to get signed any minute, you know, and be on some cool label and just be the, you know, the greatest rock band ever. And so then with Soul Crusher, I was like, well, if they like Who Cares, Soul Crusher's even better, you know, at least in my head it was. I always thought it was a good song. And it didn't turn out that way, you know. I got a couple of so-so reviews, and Soul Crusher, I think we got picked up, I think maybe Get Hip definitely carried it on. I don't remember if Investors picked that one up or not.
How long was Duke on drum? And why? What happened?
Duke was on drums at least a year, maybe more. And it just, you know, people weren't really digging us live as much as they had. And, you know, obviously the only difference was that we had a different drummer. And I started thinking, well, you know, Duke's is a good drummer, but we're not good bass player, singer, or guitar player, so we need somebody really strong somewhere in the band to anchor things. You know, I figured the only way the band will stay together again is if we have a good drummer who can hold the beat and keep us in some semblance of order, because we're never going to have it on our own.
But you didn't want to fire Duke.
Oh, certainly not. No, we loved Duke. We wanted him to stay in the band, and you know, he's a great guitar player. And I was thinking, well, geez, you know, we get him on guitar, get somebody good and solid on drums, so there'll be no stopping us. You know, we'll be even bigger and tougher.
Oh, wait, before you go to the next phase, what do you remember about the Freakazoid trash can record release party that finally came out?
Oh, when the Trash Can compilation came out, we did that show at Freakazoid. We had just gotten our brand new Thundergods jackets that Duke made for us, and we were totally excited. And it was about 103 degrees, I think, out that day, and we were playing in this little, what basically amounted to an alley. You know, a lot of asphalt, a lot of brick, a lot of reflected sunlight, a lot of just very, very uncomfortable heat and echoes, which were always helped the Thundergods sound if there was bad acoustics. You know, what had been a confusing jumble just became this unbearable wall of not even noise, just like, I guess, oral shit bouncing off the walls. But at any rate, we had these new jackets, and they were black, of course, which was perfect with the sun beating down on us. But we wore them anyways, at least for a couple songs, and then we were just dying, so we stripped those off. But we thought we were pretty cool with new jackets. I think that was more exciting than the record, at least for me. Our names on them, skulls on the back. My jacket ended up getting stolen by, I think it was stolen by the singer of the Cows.
You sure of that?
I'm not positive. And Derek Duke will still argue with me to this day, because I don't know, maybe he likes the Cows or something, but it's like, you have no proof that the Cows stole that. And I said, well, okay, we played with the Cows, we played before the Cows, I set my jacket down by the stage, the Cows left, my jacket was gone. The Cows stole it, and I think it was that goofy ass singer with the trumpet, who stands on his head, he's great, whatever, he's got my jacket.
Were you guys taking advantage of all the beer that was Freakazoid that day?
All the what?
All the beer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was that a big part of the Thundergods?
Yeah, there was a lot of drunkenness going on with the Thundergods. You know, it didn't, for some reason, didn't occur to me that a bad guitar player with about 12 beers in him would be a worse guitar player. But it did tend to work out that way most of the time. You know, things were getting less and less, what's that word? Good?
Were you nervous?
Nervous? Yeah, I'd be a little nervous just before we go on. I'd end up drinking a lot of beer. It was just a little thing I used to do a lot, was drink a lot of beer, for any reason, really.
Really? You
For
think
no
it
reason.
helped you to at least get on stage and perform?
No, I was always ready to get on stage. I don't know, the beer was more just like, it was just something I did. It was
A
just,
habit.
it was a habit. It was, I'm an alcoholic. I was addicted to alcohol, so I just always drink beer. And even if it made no sense, I'd say to myself, well, you're not going to be able to play any better if you drink.
Was it often that you, in those early days, that you played inebriated? Or
Yeah.
just kind of buzzed?
Just kind of buzzed usually, and then the inebriated would come shortly thereafter.
Maybe after the show?
A lot of times during the course of the show, within 45 minutes, I'd have gotten completely plowed because I'd set up, about 6 or 8 beers behind me and just, even during the course of the song, I'd stop playing and start drinking beer.
I got that on video, I think.
Yes, it was stupid, but I don't know. It was part of the deal at that point.
I'm not gonna exploit any of that, but
No, that's
it's not
fine.
there. What else? Talk real quick about the what you remember about the show, Friends and Players with Duke on drums. It's that only clip I have where he's throwing marshmallows. You guys just got those T-shirts. You open for the Quitters.
I think that was actually the first show that Duke played drums with us. He brought a big bag of marshmallows, and he was whipping them. He just got his head shaved. He was wearing these sunglasses. It was just like, I don't know, the whole picture of him shirtless with these little tiny sunglasses on and a shaved head. It was just sort of reminiscent of like Auschwitz or something, and he was throwing marshmallows all around, and everybody's throwing them back at him, and I was getting beaten in the head with things, some of them were marshmallows. I don't know what the other things were, and I was eating the marshmallows, and everybody's like, oh my God, we've been rubbing those around on the floor, and I spit them out. And I don't know where I'm going with the rest of the story.
It's okay. I want you to talk a little bit so I can show them.
Yeah, marshmallows, marshmallows.
So you're okay. We'll go back to what we were talking about with Duke going to guitar. You looking for a drummer?
Yeah.
Did we exhaust all of Duke on drums?
I think so, that's about all.
You played a bunch of shows. You
Yeah.
recorded it. You didn't release the record yet, though. 'Cause I played there.
Alright.
That's a big one.
Bubble's still working.
Hold on for a second. Okay. So the most important member of the band is just about to join. No, but let's see. You're the drummer. It's about what? 95, end of 95. I think I played my first show at Christmas. So it was before that.
Yeah.
What was the last show? What was the final straw? Or was it just a bunch of things you wanted to get? I think a real drummer.
Okay.
You're scared you said that.
Basically, we decided that we wanted to have 2 guitarists and a good drummer. And we wanted somebody that played hard, like Mark had, And the first person that came to mind was Keith Moon, or Rochester's equivalent thereof. Rochester's equivalent of Keith Moon. I forget his real name. We just call him Moondog. He's this guy that worked at Record Time. So we talked to him a couple times about it, and he was like, he didn't really say anything. He didn't really want to do it. Kept bugging him. And then one night, we were at the book jar just hanging around, and he came up to me and he said, "Okay, I'll be in the Thundergods." And I was like, "Huh?" Because I hadn't brought it up. But then I said, "Hey, that's great." And we told Duke. I don't think Duke was all that pleased about it. He kind of liked being drummer, but it was okay, And we brought Rob in for one practice to see how things were gonna go, or we brought Moondog in for one practice to see how things were gonna go. And man, it was great.
What was that one practice like?
That one practice I left there high as a kite. I was so happy. It's like 2 guitars, drums loud and steady. Big rock and roll, you know. It was just perfect. It was just what I wanted it to be. So from that point on, I was gung ho. It's like, okay, Rob's new drummer, Derek, your guitarist. I'll be, you know, whatever I am, whatever it is that I do. And so we
First
practiced
show
with
was-
Rob for a while. And the first show that Moondog did with us was on Christmas night, I believe, 1995.
Yeah.
1995, and it was great. We played just before the shop class squares went on. I remember it felt great, and people reacted great. And I remember Dave Snyder coming on stage to set up his drums for the shop class squares and just saying, man, we haven't even played yet and you already dusted us.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I didn't know it went that great, you know, because I have a lot of respect for shop class squares. I liked them a lot, you know, real tough band. And of course, always in my heart of hearts, I knew we were way better. You know, it didn't come out in our live performance, didn't come out in anything really that we were so great, but I knew it.
Do you think that was a turning point?
That was a turning point, yeah. That went so well that I was like, okay, there's no turning back. You know, we've got the new lineup. It's gonna be great.
You think it affected your new songs, your songwriting?
Not for a long time, no. I had basically written all the songs for one guitar, and as a result, there wasn't much to them. You know, there's just a lot of just bar chords and the solos all. I tried to incorporate chord fragments into the solos because I liked Buddy Holly a lot, and I tried to play solos like him.
Okay.
I liked Buddy Holly a lot, and I tried to play solos like he did with, you know, 2 and 3 strings at a time, because I figured, well, it's cool for one thing, and for another, it'll kind of fill up the dead space. You know, if you try and play a solo on a single string, it just sounded really empty. The bottom would totally drop out when we were playing live. So as a result, the songs weren't written for 2 guitars, and it took me probably another good year to realize that you could have 2 guitar parts going at the same time. And I think I was just in time because the Duke was getting pretty frustrated playing. The Duke was getting pretty frustrated playing a lot of bar chords and nothing else. And so that's, I think, let's see, I wrote the songs that were eventually on the first album. Songs like Too Much Woman, where Duke had a riff going, and you know, I started writing songs where Duke would play the solos and things like that. And that was cool for him. It was cool for me because I couldn't handle solos. You know, I knew what I wanted to play, but I could never play it, and Duke could. So that was cool.
What about like, you had this song kicking around while Duke was in the band, but it's such a hit, you gotta talk about it. Let's Talk About Me.
Oh yeah.
Which you never really recorded, but it's pretty obvious what it's about, but.
Yeah, Let's Talk About Me was another song that was kind of a shot at myself because, you know, basically I realized that whenever I got in a conversation, I was mainly just waiting for the other person to be done so I could redirect it towards myself. And that's what the song's all about. It's like, you know, hey, there's so many things to talk about, so many things of interest in this world. You're an interesting person, I really like you, but, you know, when do we get back to me? When do we get back to the real deal, you know, the stuff that is of real interest to everybody, you know, things that I'm doing, things that I'm thinking, things that are about me. That's what that song's about.
You think that song should have been the 3rd single?
I didn't think so, but I think a lot of other people thought that should have been one of our singles. They thought that was one of our defining songs, which, you know, that's alright. I guess it frustrated me for a while after that because I wanted to start writing songs that were a little different, a little more to them, you know, and people still seem to be more into the simpler songs, like, you know, Let's Talk About Me.
You think that was like the Hard Day's Night?
Yeah, perhaps that was our Hard Day's Night, or perhaps our Lady Jane, or
Right.
our Dandelion, you know.
Let's talk about me.
Let's Talk About Me was definitely,
The Dandelion of the Thundergods.
that was our Dandelion, yeah. That was our 2,000 light years from home.
Okay, we got brand new songs. I remember when I joined, it was like, okay, I got all these new songs. So I had to learn a bunch of songs. We had like, what is on the record? I Gotta Crawl, No Control, All Fucked Up, and Retarded Animal.
And
Was that like a bunch of songs that you wrote at the same time, like a new sound almost? Like,
yeah, I guess that was when I, like what I said earlier about, you know, realizing that you can utilize the two guitars in the band. You know, it wasn't just a source of extra noise. It could be another part of the song. You know, the two guitars could be doing something different. And so I started slowly writing songs to make use of that. And, yeah, then right after Moondog joined, I had a whole load of new songs. You know, I started really writing them fast. And those are the songs that became the first album.
what do you remember about the Highland Bowl show? Highland Bowl / Soul Crusher 7-inch release party.
Yeah, we released the Soul Crusher single at the Highland Bowl during the Bug Jar Festival. They call it the Bug Jar Festival. We call it the Thundergods record release party at the Highland Bowl. And you know, it seemed fitting. You know, it's a festival, you know, an outdoor festival in an amphitheater, celebrating the release of Thundergods' latest single. And what I recall was that it was a real nice day, and that we got free food, we got free beer backstage. You know, it made us feel like rock stars. You know, we had little passes, you know, and I remember
What'd you wear?
girls talking to us afterwards, you know, and that was cool. These little young girls coming up to us afterwards and asking us for our autographs. And
Oh, yeah.
one of them sort of giggled and said, "You guys are cute." And me and Jimmy, oh my God, we went to the moon. We just absolutely loved that.
You think Moondog played alright?
Yeah, Moondog played great at the Highland Bowl show, but main thing I remember about Moondog at that show is that he scandalized my mother by wiping his ass with the American flag. What had been intended to be a celebration of America and our participation in the Olympics, the Summer Olympics of that year, ended up being a major desecration of all that is good about America.
But he didn't mean it. He was just confused. He's fully patriotic now.
Oh yeah, well he's a patriot, he really is. And when it comes down to it, the American flag's just this piece of cloth and stuff, and if you gotta wipe your ass, you gotta wipe your ass. But I certainly didn't condone it, and my mother wasn't too hip to it. And that was another thing. I had a lot of relatives at that show, which was weird.
They saw that.
The sun was shining, and someone was running water while I was trying to talk for some reason. I
So,
remember that.
speaking of the big, huge stage, I mean, how did it compare to like the Friends and Players and the Light Bulb, and came a long way?
Oh yeah, playing on that big stage was pretty cool. I you know, really didn't know what to do with all that room. Now I know what to do with it, but back then it was, you know, got around a little bit, but wasn't really prepared. And yeah, it was pretty. It was a little intimidating, but not too much, because I've really always been fairly confident playing with Thundergods, even though I, you know, knew that we were a good band. But so that's what the deal was. So that was mainly just a big, we're superstars playing an outdoor festival, and girls are coming up, getting our autographs, and calling us cute.
The shows.
That's what I remember about that show.
Okay, man. Bug Jar shows.
Played the Bug Jar the first time with Duke. And Richmond's for that matter. I asked not to play again ever.
Oh, yeah.
But then we played there again.
Bug Jar kind of became the second home for Thundergods.
Duke was our drummer when we played that show at Richmond's. That was our first show at Richmond's, and, well, not our last, but it had all the earmarks of being our last show at Richmond's. Duke was our drummer at that point, and we hadn't really grasped the concept of turning down a little bit when you're in a smaller room. And I guess we still haven't fully grasped that concept, but at that point it was really bad, you know. It was always full blast, you know, everything full blast at all times, because I just thought that's what rock and roll was, and nobody argued. So we went on stage at Richmond's, and the Quitters deliberately went on first. Dave explained it, saying, well, you know, we'll try and get people happy, and then, you know, that way they'll be a little more receptive to you guys. And it, you know, I didn't know what he was talking about, really. It didn't occur to me that they wouldn't like us anywhere. But, so we went on stage, and of course, we were screeching and wailing. Everything was out of tune. Everything was turned up to 10. Their regular patrons, you know, who were there for chicken wings and whatever, you know, yacht race or sporting event of any kind that was on television at that point, they got outraged and left. And to them that was a major catastrophe. I didn't even notice. And then Dave was playing harmonica with us on Soul Crusher. I guess the mics were too loud too, and when he started playing harmonica, it was just ear splitting. And we were all deaf by that point, so we didn't know. But the bouncer, the big fat guy with a white baseball hat, came up and said, okay, you guys gotta stop, and you know, the owner wants you off the stage. It's like, what? And Duke, of course, was just, you know, fuck that, keep them playing, we're playing. So he started another song, and he says, no, he comes up again, he says, if you guys keep playing, the Quitters don't get paid, and then they're going to play it again. And at that point, I wasn't going to get them in trouble. So we left the stage, and from that point on, they wouldn't even consider the idea of the Thundergods playing in their little bar again. And that went on for years and years. Only just recently we've ever played there again.
Probably not even that, is it? It's so cool having someone hand you a cigarette on camera, even if it is my hand.
Let's see, Bug Jar, he played what do you think about playing the Bug Jar? Cool. Bug Jar's always been pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, I thought Bug Jar was a pretty cool place, you know. And they seemed to like us there. And again, I think it was another sort of novelty thing for them, you know. A lot of people liked us as a novelty band, and that was all right by me for a while. You know, let them like us as a novelty, and you know, eventually we'll get good enough that they'll start liking us as a real band. I think there's one in the top drawer of the dresser, all the way by the front door. Yeah, so we started playing at the Bug Jar, and that was cool. And we got to play with some bands that we really liked, you know, and some out-of-town bands. You know, we ended up playing with the Lazy Cowgirls, which was just the coolest. And played with the Makers. I don't know, man. Okay.
You wanna know? Yeah, we actually. Guys did all the bands you started opening up for, like for the band, like coming together finally and sounding somewhat legitimate.
Yeah, you know,
You got to open for some of your favorite bands at the time.
yeah, we did. You know, like I was saying before, we got to open for a lot of bands that we really liked, and you know, people started to actually say that we sounded good instead of saying, "Oh, you guys are so funny," or you know,
guys are outrageous or whatever they thought we were.
How about, just totally interrupt. At this point, the way the band looked started coming around to looking more rock and roll and less.
Yeah, you know, at first our look was just kind of thrown together. We didn't really have a concept of how you should look on stage or how we wanted to look on stage, I guess. Yeah, so we started getting together a little bit of a look. You know, I was always into old school rock and roll, 50s rock and roll, and I ended up doing my hair up in a pompadour, which was cool for a while. And you know, this whole rockabilly kick started
Again.
started up, yeah, you know, and
Yeah, you had some fancy, you'd dress up like fully with cufflinks and rings picked out, belt buckles.
yeah, you know, you know, we'd put on suits, you know, we'd wear the fanciest suits we could find, you know, tuxedos and
As if we were going on a
wingtips. Yeah, it was like, you know, going to the prom. You had to be dressed to the nines, your hair had to be perfect and everything. That was a big deal for us for a long time, you know, that was what we were into, and it worked out pretty good for a while. You know, the pompadour, a lot of people liked it, but I took a lot of guff for it, boy. I'd get harassed by jocks a lot, you know, I'd go out as a pompadour. Of course, you know, my conception of a pompadour wasn't, you know, the traditional pompadour. I guess what I was thinking of was more along the lines of maybe straight hats, maybe that character Johnny Suede, you know, the Brad Pitt movie, you know, just these giant pompadour seats, Sputnik almost. I wanted it to be outrageous, and
Like everything
a lot of
else.
people liked it. A lot of people thought I was a big fucking dork, but I was used to that.
Did you get any girls that way?
With the hair,
With anything?
with the looks, yeah, I think I dated some girls that I otherwise would not have. I got more attention, I guess. Yeah.
So you kind of live out your fantasy in a way.
In a way, yeah. There were some girls around, which was a change, and definitely a cool thing. And yeah, we were living out our rock and roll fantasy. You know, it's like, well, we might as well play this to the hilt and do everything, you know, rock and roll style. Dress way up, outrageous. Put your hair up, way outrageous. You know, do anything to kind of not look like the next guy. You know, I never really understood this concept that was prevalent at the time of, you know, go up there and be shy and go up there and try and blend in with the crowd. You know, don't make a rock star out of yourself. It's like, why in God's name would you get on a stage and try and act like you're just one of the guys? You're obviously not just one of the guys if you're up on a stage in front of the guys and above the guys. You're something else. You're there. You're what the regular guys are there to see. And nobody wants to just look at themselves on stage. That just seems stupid to me. So Thundergods would always, you know, we dress up and we'd act the part of rock stars. And, you know, some bands, a lot of people knew not to take it too seriously, but some of the more earnest and honest bands around town would get a little upset about it. Oh, rock stars, you know, these things are so great. And, you know, they'd cop an attitude with us like we were assholes, and really all we were was just guys who, you know, were drinking too much beer and trying to pretend like we were, you know, rock and roll poster boys, you know, trying to pretend like we were in teenage fantasy. And, you know, for a long time we were.
This looks so great through camera.
We were the teenage rock and roll fantasy. We were the poster on every teenage girl's wall.
And
We
then
were.
it went all horribly wrong.
Yeah, then the drama ensued.
Of course.
Let's see, write the poem. So actually, go through,
What do you think of each member of the band? Like start with Jimmy. What do you think of him as a bass player, as a guy, as a member of the band? Thunderclap Jimmy.
You know, when it comes down to it, there really is no overstating the importance of the Thundergods. It's cool you use it.
Yeah, that's all you got.
Wasn't meant to. I was thinking about something I wanted to get on tape.
Okay, that's fine.
You can use that. That'll be kind of an outrageous statement. Okay,
Because it'll all start the thing, too.
Thunderclap Jimmy. The thing about Thunderclap Jimmy is he's a character. Thunderclap Jimmy is a character. No, wait. Most important thing to remember about Thunderclap Jimmy is that there is a guy who will never give up. Never. Never give up. You know, we've been playing together 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know how many years we've been playing together now.
When he cries, you cry.
Yeah, you can say when I cry, Jimmy cries. But
Say it
again,
like the Chili
I
Peppers.
just want to say, Thunderclap Jimmy is a guy who will never give up. And, you know, we've been playing together 5, 6 years, whatever. I honestly don't think we've gotten more than a couple days worth of good hard work out of him, but he never gave up. Never give up.
Now say when he cries, I cry.
When Jimmy cries, I cry.
You know what that's from? The Chili Peppers behind the music.
Just stop talking. I'm trying to
Oh,
say.
I'm gonna edit all this together.
Okay, go. Because that can was all in the way and you covered up your face when you were doing
When Jimmy cries, I cry.
that. Turn that off for a second.
I wanted to do that, but I planned. Wait, let me do it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Jimmy. What can I say about Jimmy? Fuck. Okay, give me another chance. Jimmy. What can I say about Jimmy? Jeez. When Jimmy cries, I cry. I cry. Can you turn that off for a second?
Duke's important to the band or whatever.
Duke's a really good guitarist. He's, in a lot of ways, it's been a romance between me and Duke, you know, a very, very stormy romance. He's been my salvation, he's been my foil. There's been tension, there's been moments of heartache, moments of joy. Most of all, Duke's hung.
Alright, that's good.
We're gonna have to cut that right after I say that, 'cause I
Yeah.
start laughing.
No, that's fine. Because I'll cut to some ridiculous that Derek says in front of the camera. Hey man, let's party. You know, or something like, because I got lots of that.
Yeah.
I forgot that I had a...
Pretty tight, you know, and we lived together for a lot of years, and you know, it's just always been, we're the Thundergods together, you know, me and Jimmy, and that's the way it started. And you know, a lot of people thought that me and Jimmy were fags. You know, we were always together, we lived together. Neither of us is, you know, exceedingly macho or even masculine. But the truth is that we like girls as much as the next guy. But me and Jimmy love me and Jimmy. We love us as friends, us as partners. And again, I'm gonna have to ask for more. band. He's the guy that keeps it together. He's fulfilled his role as it was originally envisioned to a T. He's always there. He's rock solid. He's the guy who gets the shows. He's the guy. He's basically the only person in the band who's got a head on his shoulders and who really knows what he's doing.
I think he's got some aggressions he's getting out on the drums.
Yeah, there's a lot that's genuinely disturbing about Rob.
What?
There's a lot that's genuinely disturbing about Moondog. Let me say that again.
So I can edit it.
There's a lot that's, well, genuinely disturbing. There's a lot that's, well, genuinely disturbing about Moondog. He's definitely taking something out on the drums. I'm not sure what it is. There's something just deeply wrong there. But hey, you know, he gets his gigs.
Do you think the chicks dig Mundo?
I think Rob is I think that Moondog is probably the biggest star on the rock and roll scene in Rochester today. He knows everybody. He loves everybody, and when I say love, I mean loves everybody. I mean 1, 2, 3,
That's great. Just tell me what you thought about when Moondog chucked his drums out before he booked on down the road. Threw his drums out.
Yeah, I can recall one show at the Bug Jar at the very end. We've always tried to have big crash bang endings. A lot of times they go on for 5-10 minutes, you know, people would just start leaving. But that's okay. It's not. The show isn't about the fans. The show isn't about who's there watching. The show's about us. The show is about us being cool, us being rockin', us playing great songs. And if nobody there enjoys it, well, you know, it really doesn't matter. So, at any rate, at the end of this one show at the Bug Jar, Rob actually not only kicked over his drum set, but actually,
Who did?
at the end of this one show at the Bug Jar, Rob not only kicked over his drum set.
One more time.
At the end of this particular show at the Bug Jar, I remember Moondog, he didn't just kick over his drums. He kicked open a door behind him and threw his drums out in the middle of Monroe Avenue. And, that was always something that I recall with a great deal of fondness. That was a true rock and roll moment.
He picked him back up and played a couple more songs.
Yeah, and then the thing was, he ran out into the street. I wasn't done playing, and you know, when I'm not done playing, things have to go on. You know, it's just what it is. And so I started playing another song, and I wasn't about to stop. So Rob ran back out in the middle of the street, grabbed his drums, and came back in, set them back up, and started playing again. That's rock and roll. That's rock and roll theater.
I think, what role did Ricker play in the band? Or as the band started? Who's he? What's the deal with him? If that's really gonna be that big of a deal.
Yeah, our friend Ricker, he's a guy. I picked up a lot about rock and roll off of Ricker. I knew him for quite a while. I knew him before I knew Jimmy even. And he always had a lot of records and a lot of good rock and roll. He's the one that introduced me to Heartbreakers, the music of Johnny Thunders. And well, he was someone whose opinion I respected. And
Good enough. That's fine.
I don't know what else he did really.
What else should we cover?
He served as our major critic
Yeah.
early on.
You gotta be like shriveled up in there.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's as far as the beginning to beginning. I think that's it.
Was I funny though?
Enough, yeah.
Deep.